Hi, well, in this video, you're going to see me taking Tiny out onto the street as part of the service dog training process. And again, the big focus here is on other distractions. And the big issue that she's had is with squirrels. So here recently, I've really been making a determined effort to focus in on that issue with her. I have a big oak tree out here right next to my house where there's like a huge squirrel population, so there's lots of opportunity. And then she's tried on a couple of occasions to really invest towards these squirrels. So I've really been working her, redirecting her state of mind. And so the focus here is on the same type of thing, but again, moving down the street, and again, working on really making sure that she's really beginning to start to come back in terms of her state of mind. And so this is where even with how I'm starting to advance the script and the integrity of it, is the focus on starting to establish a default sit. Okay, so service dog training, what you want is when the owner is slowing down without even having to say sit. Okay, as soon as you're slowing down, the dog is pacing. And this is where the whole issue of focus and fading in comes from, where through this methodology, through these interactions, and through really working on the pacing exercise, which again, that's part of how you're communicating through the leash method, okay? To give the dog some advanced information as the individual is slowing down, which you'll see me vibrate the leash, is it ties in, it all comes together properly, so when I come to a stop or I slow down, Tiny automatically will sit, okay? And that's already starting to happen, okay? And it's all really creating a high level of focus that way. So as I'm starting to work her, okay, that's part of it too. So I'll do certain things to make sure that that's happening. And that's why I just take one step at a time and really kind of rocking her mind back, okay, and then start to go a little bit, my pace will improve. So it's really important to vary your pace. Sometimes dogs will do, because dogs are amazing animals, okay? I mean, I'll just put that out there. Dogs are amazing animals. And so once they gain control, they'll even do what I call, they'll start to card count the person, which means that just like someone going into a casino, you're not supposed to do that, right? It's like the movie Rain Man, right? Able to have the ability to know what cards are coming out about to pop up on the deck, because they have the ability to card count. Now, to remember, dogs are kind of similar in a way, because what happens is once you gain control, if you're certain dogs are connecting, this is what happens in terms of control, even on your walk, is that they start to create certain associations to fulfillment that way. And so will kind of mark or pace you, anticipating, okay, how they're advancing towards whatever it is. So this is where it really can be very, challenging, because what happens is you could have a dog doing a sit and I see this happen all the time, where the person's moving kind of fast and the dog is going in, responding to the various positions, but the dog was completely faded out. Okay, that dog's mind's jumping at such a level, the dog's saying, sure, I'll do A, B, C, and D to get to E or F, and then you're wondering, like, I can't, it looks great, but I can't overcome these problems. This is why, in terms of what I call a hard stop. The hard stop means that in terms of these interactions, really varying certain things, okay, but in a way that the dog still is going to be agreeable. You don't want to get so kind of crazy in what you're doing that you enter into a level of conflict with the type of interactions you're doing, but you need to kind of mix it up, so to speak, and do certain things so that you're fading in, making sure the dog isn't doing that, okay, especially once you have control issues. So whenever I'm doing this type of thing, I'm into a type of rhythm where I'm making sure that I'm fading in. The dog, so I'll stop, one example, I'll stop, and I'll wait, I'll add an extra 20 seconds or 30 seconds onto my stop, and make sure the dog is really kind of settling in and just, relaxing, because you can tell when the dog's mind is kind of, pushing. It's almost like it's like a runner being ready to launch off the starting gate. You want to make sure that the dog is really letting it go. Okay, even when you see these dogs with a little air scent, that's a problem, okay? Because it's tied into control once it gets to that level, so it's a different context. So dog starts to air scent because it's like a guided missile, right? they want to, they're seeing what's beyond, you know, they're using their nose like their eyes, but then it's all about control. So you want to really, this is why the method has to be such so they're really beginning to understand that, hey, you know, I own whatever it is. And this is the thing about the dog releasing control, starting to relax, become more of a follower. So anyway, I just want to mention that because there's things in, you know, how I'm doing the method. Even when I'm doing the service dog training, I'm applying a certain skill set to make sure that things are coming together the right way. So, you know, when the owner is, when the dog was back home with the owner for a period of time, you know, I'm still making sure that things are connecting a certain way. I'm doing the kind of like the hard work part of this. So I use 2 weeks here full time, 2 weeks back with the owner, 2 weeks back here. So there's a mirroring process. But again, you know, you want to make sure that you're doing certain things to make sure you truly are fading in, and that, again, through the mirroring process, that the same thing is happening with Tiny's owner, okay? So again, I just want to mention before I do the walk, because I'm going to take the camera again, I'm going to put it around my neck, so I apologize if the picture kind of gets shaky, but I will be talking through it, and so because right now I need both hands, and I could set the camera up stationary, but on this video here, at least I'm going to put it around my neck again. But again, the goal here is for me, I'm going to be kind of moving around, hoping to see squirrels. I'm going to walk down the street a little bit again. But my focus is never on distance. Understand that this is not about a distance exercise. I mean, this is the problem with some training, is that people get focused on the picture, right, about distance work. That's absolutely meaningless, okay? Absolutely meaningless if the dog's holding control. So you have to really understand, you want to make sure that the core of this, the integrity, short leash work, good integrity, fade into a high level, and then we can think about getting into distance work. And it's going to be solid, but never be deceived by dogs that are at a distance and they're on a place board. Don't get into that mess, okay? Because again, that's about a picture. It's superficial, be very superficially driven. Dog can be on a place board, but totally you're still faded out, okay? And people are using treats and such to elicit a response and thinking somehow you got meaningful influence going on, and you don't. Okay, so you want to make sure that the methodology ties in correctly to specific interactions, which is going to frame the picture up correctly, and then you can think about starting to work off of commands. So I wouldn't even use commands until 2 weeks into this, because it's about packaging. Okay, it's about how by fading in the meaning of verbal commands. So it's the language of the method. The dog understands the intent based on how I'm interacting in very specific ways. So the agreeableness is part of the issue about understanding the intent and accepting what I'm doing. And then the commands come online after the 2 weeks. Then you'll start to hear me start to use words, but still the emphasis is action directed, okay? So I'm going to bring Tiny out here. I'm going to hook up the camera to my neck. And we are going to get into this. Let me get something here. Okay, here. So, this up. So again, we're going to move out here. Oh, and the great thing about this neighborhood, there's another dog again here. There's always other dogs around, people walking, which is great. That's what you want. You want to use a neighborhood that's going to be busy. Here's my oak tree with the squirrel population. And I make an effort to kind of hang around. So even here, for example, when you're at Tiny here, right beside me here, and so when you're even near an area like a tree with squirrels in it, okay, even, like I said, I'm nudging here. You see her trying to invest towards that other dog a little bit, so I'm nudging her out of that.
because again, I want her to get the idea that, hey, you know what, I own everything, right? I want the focus to stay on me. So just nudging a little bit here. Again, it's about creating a conditional state. It's like having a, you know, a red light, yellow light, green light, okay? So you want to make sure you're fading in at the right level. But once the dog has control, again, control issues now, here we go. We got, here you can see several dogs here coming, which is great. So as these dogs come, I'm going to turn. This is a great moment here, because I have two dogs on retractable leashes, which I tell people don't ever use retractable leashes. But so she's, you know, so here what I did here was I turned her slightly at more of an angle. I call this a turnaround technique here to make sure, there we go, I'm tapping her out of that, making sure she's not investing in these other dogs. So now I'm going to move out a little bit. That was a great opportunity, but lots of people out tonight. It's a beautiful night. See, the moon is visible here. Walking. Now, same thing as before. When you're doing this type of thing, I'll use what I call kind of boundary, kind of establishing some visual boundaries here in terms of how making sure the dog isn't investing. So I'll turn, I'll angle at certain times when I sense the dog is, like right here for example, I'm going to walk straight, and here's the thing, as soon as you sense that your dog is starting to fixate a certain direction, once you have a sense of that, you want to nudge a little bit, okay? Especially at first here. This is about in the middle of a process, knowing that you already have a relationship problem. So you have to be intentional with making sure that you're ahead of the curve of the dog's mind, okay? Just like no different than already knowing your child's already selfish, okay? So you have to be more intentional with establishing some boundaries and rules, having a conversation about how things are going to go down before you go out into the store or whatever, because it starts at home, okay? It starts there. Now I got a guy jogging towards us, which is great, another opportunity. Now this guy's getting close here. Once he starts getting very close, you'll see me kind of turn at a bit of an angle. She's starting to, her ears are kicking right up. I'm going to turn on a stop right here like this, and I'm going to tap a little bit with the leash. It goes by, tap him again. Keep nudging her. Beautiful night here in Florida. There's a breeze blowing. The sun is just starting to set, and it's just probably about 75 degrees, which is a perfect weather for walking the dog. The same thing here, and this is where I get into this whole pacing thing. So right now I'm just going to shuffle forward one step. I'm going to tap with the leash, get her to go into a sit. So I'm just kind of tapping at the same time. So here it's kind of like multitasking too. So I'm vibrating, getting her to go into a sit. But then at the same time, if she's head turns and starts to invest in something, I got to nudge her out of that as well. So sometimes you have to do two things at the same time, because it's about the dog's state of mind, how the dog is investing, how they're moving, surging forward. So if you want to keep them right beside you, it's really important. Here I'm going to turn around, go the other way. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see the moon on this video, but it's beautiful. It's the same thing too. When you're moving with the dog here, is that you have to really try to get in tune to how much the dog is trying to advance, okay? Kind of like I call it, like the mind is rolling forward on you to know, again, how much you need to kind of come to more of a stop. Because the thing is, you get into a resistance mode and the dog is pushing, trying to push forward, and you're fighting against it, then you're better off coming to a stop and really kind of re-establishing, okay, fading into the method, okay? Kind of hard stop. When I say hard stop, not meaning stopping fast or hard. It just means that you're really fading in through, just taking your time and stopping and giving it the extra few seconds to make sure the dog is really letting it go, not just really relaxing. Tapping here, kind of one-handing this right now a little bit. She's doing really, really well. I mean, that's the great thing about. I love shepherds. I mean, her ears are just straight up. Coming to a spot to stop is great because it helps to shift the focus. Even movement, you're moving too much, causes control issues. They can kind of really kind of invest. You know, kind of like you're moving and they might be beside you, but it's always a good idea to stop, shift the focus so that you're fading in. Okay, you're in control. There's another dog coming behind me here, moving up towards us. So what I'm going to do, again, I look at everything as kind of an opportunity to create these little exercises, take advantage of whatever is happening around me. So what I'm going to do here, I got a dog over here in front, I got a dog coming up behind me, so I'm going to move over here near the vehicles, and I'm going to, now here, I'll turn the camera, you can see there's two dogs right, got lots of dogs out tonight, two dogs coming the other way. And this is the thing about, you know, really working the dog around other dogs, because, you know, Tanya might get a certain comfort level working with Polly, but you want to make sure that you're working with, if you can, work with other dogs that the dog isn't familiar with, okay, just to help to really make sure that you're really establishing that. Now you can see her trying to turn her head. There's two dogs walking, so what I'm do here is I'm waiting and I'm setting her up here to really, and how I'm kind of turning the other way, she has to turn her head now. She has to turn her head now to try to see, invest in these other dogs, and I'm not going to let her do that. Okay, I'm going to interrupt that. So by me just being patient here like this, she wants to peek, she wants to look, but I'm communicating with